Hi everyone. Ahead of our sewing roll workshop, here we are, we've got some pre-class homework. So this is just a little video to tell you what I'd like you to get done in advance of the class, and then hopefully you'll have enough time to get finished, or more or less finished, in the day. So if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, you can join our sewing roll class to make a sewing roll just like mine, or you can make it your own style too. So let's have a look at what we've got to do first. In advance of the class, if you could get your pieces all cut, that would speed us up no end. So you're going to start with a piece of outer fabric. I've got wool because I'm a woolly person. If you haven't got wool or you're not a woolly person, use cotton, and I'll tell you what works really well. If you've got the novelty prints, you know, with the pins and needles and scissors and sewing equipment, that looks fantastic. Really busy prints look fantastic as well, but I'm a woolly person and I'm using wool. I've picked, so there's an inner lining that your pockets go on top of. I've picked something that kind of loosely resembles the wool, and then for the pockets, what I would like you to do is get another colour and prepare all your pockets using the cutting instruction. Now I'm not sure if you can see on here, I have labelled things. I used a friction pen, so Smart Money would have ironed all this stuff before I'd started. That's going to be interesting. But here it tells me that that's for the D-rings and it's 5 by 2 inches, and that's for the pin cushion and it's 7 by 4.5 inches, and so on and so forth. That's going to really help you in the class. You're not going to get flustered when you can't find what you need. So if you make yourself a nice stack of all your cuts of fabric, put them in a sandwich bag or something like that. Interfacing, we've got D-rings which are tumbling on the floor. I've got a zip. If your zip isn't the right length, if it's a bit long, we can shorten that in the class, don't worry about that. And any embellishments. I don't have any velvet for my pin cushion, so I'm using some coordinated wool. So if you could make yourself a stack of cut pieces, see the comments section for all the measurements that you need to cut, all the requirements, and they're all there, and that would give us a head start. Now additionally, because the class, we are more focusing on the inside of the sewing case, let me just get one, than the outside. So on the day we are going to spend our time doing the pockets and building it across. We're going to have a jolly nice time while we're doing it as well. So in advance, what I'd like you to do is quilt. Now can you see we've got the cross-hatched lines on here? I'm going to show you how to do that. If you're not confident and you need help, get in touch and I will give you extra instructions. I'd like you to put these two layers together, the wadding and the outer, and quilt them. I've just done a simple crosshatch pattern here. Now the easy way to do that is use your ruler, and we've all got a 45-degree angle on the ruler. And if you can see this line here, and get it in the camera, and there's a little black dot there that says 45 degrees. If I put that straight edge there on the edge of my fabric, oops, get it there, and then draw a line. I'm using a friction pen which is going to disappear when I iron it. Put a line across. That's going to give me my first line of stitching. When you're coming back the other way, use the same 45-degree line, but put it, oops, there we go, down the other side there, and then that will give you, if you put it on that way, that will give you your line coming back the other way to give you your cross. So you can see there I've started it off. Now I'm going to go over to the sewing machine and let's see what we do next. To get the nice parallel lines, we're going to use this piece of equipment. Now you might have one of these in your sewing machine and have wondered what the dickens it's for. It's for helping you get parallel lines. This end here is a little bit pointed, and at the back of your machine foot you have a hole that it will slot into. Oops. Doesn't have to be right on the deck. As long as you can work with that curve, it's going to be fine. So the first row of stitching put your fabric under, and I always sew over onto the wadding as well, just helps hold things in place. So your first row of stitching, centre that drawn line in the centre of your foot. I'm using a slightly longer stitch length. I'm using a 3. Oops, move the pin. First row of stitching all the way down, and then the second row, if you bring it back and put this little hook, it's not a hook, you know what I mean, on the first line of stitching. And as I now stitch down, rather than watching the needle, I'm going to watch that, and as long as I keep that on my first row of stitching, it will be parallel. Don't worry too much if you're not precise, because I think there's a beauty in being wonky too. You can see the hook is on the line as we go down. There we go. Make sure you go all the way to the end, because as my needle is on the end here, that isn't quite at the end on the fabric, and when I turn round, the opposite is true. When I've got that on the fabric, my needle's in the wrong position, so you will just have to take a few minutes just to get your bearings. When you've gone all you can this way, turn your piece of fabric round and do the other side, and then you will also come back on the other line that you drew and work progressively each side of that line too, until you have a quilted piece. Sorry, that looks something like this. There we go, nice and cross-hatched. Look at the other side. It's not perfect, but for me it's absolutely fine. The final part of your homework, and this is entirely optional, is to put your applique on. The applique is difficult to put on afterwards, and as we all work at different speeds, it would be really helpful if we could do it beforehand. So if you've never done fusible web applique, this is how we do it. So you've got several drawings, because I've given you drawings for all the applique we've ever put on the sewing rolls to date. So just using this sheet here, I'm going to have these mice on mine. So let's just show you one mouse. So we've got some fusible web, paper on one side, rough on the other. Put the paper side up over each area of your drawing. Draw on the line, go around. Oops. Don't worry if you're not exact, because the bumpy texture does make it a little bit hard. As I've got to the top of the mouse's neckline there, the dress, the top of the fabric is going to go underneath her head. So what I do is I just add a little bit to the drawing in dots, and it just tells me that that extra little piece is going to be hidden underneath another piece, and that's my actual line that we'll be showing. So next, do all your applique in colour groups. Roughly cut out the colour groups, don't cut on the line at this stage, and then use an iron to fuse. Again, this is a great project for using up scraps. Fuse this on there, taking care of any direction fabric, that any patterns that you might have. So if you're using wool, use a steam iron very carefully, get some steam on, get it all nice and gummy, and then dab with your iron. That will give you a good stick. Once you've ironed the fabric, then here's one I prepared earlier. You can come back and you can cut out on your line. So get it all nicely cut out. Build your little mouse, or whichever it is you've decided. Once you've got all your pieces cut out, and I might just point out here, for the mouse we used a slightly darker shade for the ear and the arm that was behind. You don't have to, but it just gives it an extra layer of professionalism, let's call it. So build up your mouse, make sure that you're happy with everything before you commit to fastening it all down permanently. Now informs me, and she's absolutely right, if you alter the position of the head, you can give your mouse a completely different personality. You can make her shy, you can make her confident, you can give her all kinds of personality. As you'll note here, the legs, we've got both legs together there, and I've cut them out in one piece, and that's because the detail is going to be stitched on, making it much easier, and we're just working with one piece. Tails, I'll bring in my completed one. Tails, you've got a choice. You could applique the tails, but Sue here has just stitched them, stitching up and down the same line several times. So make your own design, have a good look, do as much or as little as you want, have some fun using things out of your bit box. You could go for something a bit more grown up with your sewing machine, and then you've got your tailor's dummy. Entirely up to you, as much or as little as you'd like. If I'm honest, on my pattern fabric, I'm probably not going to put any applique on there. I'm just going for I'm going to enjoy the patterned fabric. The reason you've got the interface in your kit is for this pocket here. You've cut a nice big piece of fabric which is going to be folded in half. Your interfacing will slip between the layers so that you can go through without putting any extra pressure on the fabric there. So once you've got your applique done, as I say, as much or as little as you want to do, then you're good to go, and we'll see you all in class. Can't wait to see you. Thank you for getting stuck in, and hopefully now we've got our great package of goodies, we can just fly when we get into the class. So I'll see you soon.